Welcome in, everybody, to another MLS Monday by Scarves and Spikes. Tyler Pilgrim here alongside Sydney Hunt and Henry Higuita. What is going on, y'all?
What's going on, gentlemen? Good to be here. Henry, how are you doing? You're on mute.
Every time.
yourself
It's
on
going to
mute.
get somebody every
Oh.
time,
I got you.
all the way through January.
I was muted by the host. Anyway, man, where was I going? Y'all ruined what I was gonna come in and say, but
Right.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what was happening. It's cold. That's what's happening. I'm freezing my butt off over here. But
Gosh.
it's all good. Yeah, stay safe, y'all.
You
The
know what's
winter weather
careful.
continues.
You know what's perfect for cold weather?
What's
A
that?
latte?
A latte.
Ah?
In a
Well played.
Scarves and Spikes
Well
mug.
played.
Oh.
Where can you get those, by the way? Where can you get those
And a
mugs?
hoodie.
Where can you get those?
You can get them on scarvesandspikes.com. Just click on the little shop icon and go get you some new merch.
Or link? You say icon. It's actually a link saying store. It's right there on the homepage. Well, on all the pages, in fact.
I don't think I said
Yes.
icon.
Or shop, not store. Shop.
Yeah.
I
think
all
they
the
can find
hoodie.
it. I hope.
Yeah,
Buy all the hoodie, buy all the hat, buy all the mug, buy everything. Do it
Yes.
because it looks good, and yeah, pretty much that's why.
There you go.
You
That's
guys
it.
know what else looks good, by the way?
What looks good?
It looks good about Miguel Almiron coming to Atlanta United, guys. That's what looks good. Shall we start there before we
Yeah,
get into the
this
rest
is-
of the league?
I think Tyler is mildly excited about that. Just a little.
Just a little bit. Just a
Right.
little bit. I am so. I mean, I had the monologue last week, and I'm probably gonna have a monologue again today and probably Wednesday. I can't wait. I can't wait for this man to step back into the bins. I can't wait for him to get off the plane, whenever that may be.
Some
I don't
people were
know.
like tracking a possible Delta flight from Heathrow to Atlanta.
Really, I don't know
Maybe
who that could be.
speculating.
Who was it?
Not naming names. One
Weird.
of us. It's not me or Tyler.
A lot of
But,
detectives out there.
yeah.
No, I think it's great, man. I'm super excited. Y'all know how excited I am. It's not just because like, oh, the vibes, 2017-18. Whatever. I mean, that's part of it. Absolutely. This dude was one of the best players MLS has ever seen. And then he goes to the Premier League, plays in Champions League, does his thing, goes through all the rigorous stuff involved in being in the Premier League, and was pretty successful. If this were any other player coming straight from the Premier League from Newcastle, everybody would be losing their mind about how amazing it is. Don't let the fact that like you just feel that like sense of, oh, but can I be excited? Don't let that take away. Be excited. It's Miggy, guys. He's the other statue they're gonna build.
You're very excited.
I am
You're really
excited, man.
Cesar Luis Murdo before the show saying that essentially the deal is, I don't want to misquote him, but Henry, you saw the tweet, I'm sure.
Yeah, he basically reported that there's a verbal agreement in place. The deal is in the region of 12 million, is what I understand, and that basically just personal details are what they need to sort out. But really, and this is coming from me now. Personal details with Miggy shouldn't really be a problem. I mean, he likes Atlanta. He knows what he's getting into. And he's been open to this move since it was a possibility, according to reports. So it shouldn't be a big problem. I'm expecting this to be wrapped up pretty soon. The major issue was just figuring out the fee with Newcastle. But now that that's sorted, it should be smooth sailing from there.
Jackson Popkin wrote on scarvesandspikes.com sort of the top 10 moments from Miguel Almiron's career at Atlanta United. And I was just kind of thinking, what if they're working out make good between him and Jonathan Spector after one of the goals he scored against Orlando when Spector was playing for Orlando. Of course, Spector's part of the staff, scouting staff for Atlanta United. I'm sure was instrumental in potentially bringing Miggy back to Atlanta. So it's kind of like the in joke that we were talking about on Discord and social media to some extent.
I mean,
maybe
there was a meme made out of that run. But it's okay. The thing is, like, it's soccer. He still joined the club after Darren Eales went and put up a giant billboard outside of Orlando's stadium. And, like, local media interviewed Jonathan Spector. I don't know if y'all remember this, but they interviewed
I
him
don't.
about it after that happened. And he spoke to the media about it. He was not happy about it. He was not happy. Like, he's a cool guy. Like, it's nothing against him. Like, at the end of the day, it happens.
All is forgiven.
Yeah, I mean, it be what it be. It's like wrestling. Like, you'll be beefing one day and the next day you're best friends. It's okay. Or fighting, whatever. It's just how it is. They'll be all right. The moment Miggy comes back and helps lift another trophy, all will be forgiven.
Right. So it sounds like that's close, but then possibly a Lady United player moving out. Lisa Braun, interest from Brazil. That's the big one that we've been talking about with Atlanta United, right? That big contract for Abraham. I don't know if he's going to make as much. I see that from Gray. I don't know if he's going to make as much as he will with Atlanta. He might, because they have more money to spend down in Brazil. But I didn't see the club. Did you guys see the club, or was there a club mentioned?
I don't think they named clubs. I think they just said Brazilian clubs in general.
Plural.
Was that Merlo as well? That was Merlo as well.
I think it was Merlo,
yeah. So he could be out. And again, that's the big contract that Atlanta United have to or could move away. I don't think he's getting traded in MLS. That's just too big of a contract for a team to take on for just 1 year. So I feel like the best course of action is to transfer him out to Brazil or another league in South America, something like that. But looks like that's in the opening stages. Nothing significant coming from that. And then nothing right now from about Latte Laugh that we're hearing or seeing. Atlanta United, today was a national holiday in the U.S., of course. So kind of was the reason why things are slow. But it seems like things are close. For Miguel, certainly, but for Latte Laugh, especially as well. We were saying, Tyler, you're saying earlier in the week. I mean, that could still happen tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with this kind of stuff, right? But I think it's for it. To me, it feels like Miggy is definitely further along.
Right. I'd agree with that.
And it looks like Latte Lath is going to be at least on the bench tomorrow, probably playing. And I think one thing that we were kind of talking about in our Discord was this kind of notion that it's like it is standard practice that when a club, Atlanta, goes out to facilitate a transfer to bring a player in, normally during the proceedings it's kind of said, like, out of respect, out of agreement, whatever, hey, let's not let that player play because we don't want to injure him in the middle of our negotiations, and then everything's on the table. And clubs in some cases do, if they do ask for that, and the other club, the selling club, says we really need him, sometimes a club like Atlanta could say, well, okay, but if he gets injured, y'all owe us whatever. That could happen. I'm not saying that's what's happening. That's purely speculation. But it's not. I say all that to say it's not something that has to happen. Borough is in the middle of a promotion battle, and they're possibly likely going to be selling their main goal scorer, their main striker, and so it's okay if he plays. Knock on wood, he doesn't get injured, but at the same time, it's helping him stay in form. If things go right, like, yes, we want him here during preseason, but he's playing championship, football. So let him do it. Let him get the time and help Burrow out, especially if it helps facilitate the actual transfer.
And not just playing tomorrow, they're playing West Brom, or directly above them on the standings. West Brom and Borough are level on points, but West Brom are ahead on, I think his goal differential is his first tiebreaker in the championship in the English football. So they're 6-7 right now, and that's a massive match for both teams. A 6-pointer with about 2/3 of the season to go. So does Michael Carrick play him tomorrow? Does he leave him on the bench again just to keep him preserved for Atlanta? We'll see. I mean, until then, he's still a Borough player. I don't be surprised if he plays, especially with such a big match where Borough at home in a big match for their promotion hopes, or at least to say the promotion playoff places.
See,
so,
and it's interesting.
Really monitor.
It's interesting, Sydney, because on the other end of that, right, the other rumored transfer, which is Almiron, which now we know is more advanced. You know, over the weekend he was in the 18 for Newcastle. He was in the game day squad. He was on the bench, but he never ended up being subbed on. And Newcastle lost that game. But is that potentially connected to his transfer? Maybe. I don't really know. I mean, it's weird because Newcastle's actually, I think, top 4 or 5 right now. It's a weird Premier League table, man.
It is. Hey, Nottingham Forest is doing work, buddy.
Yeah.
Top 4.
Everyone predicted that one. But no, I mean, it's like Newcastle, I guess they need as many of their folks, but Almiron is, and I hate to say it, but he's no longer like really part of I don't want to say Newcastle's plans, but he's not part of their strongest 11 at this point, right? At least they're not putting him in that 11. And so if they don't need him, then I guess it makes sense to not endanger his potential transfer back to Atlanta, because they know that situation is going on, and obviously, you don't want anything to potentially collapse that. Unfortunately, Almiron, Miggy is at that age where you start to kind of go down in your career. Not necessarily say that he's going to be crap when he gets here, but you've reached your peak, right? Yeah. You've reached your peak for all intents and purposes, like the peak of your career. They don't want to potentially endanger what could be the best sale that they're going to get for him. So
he's going to be open to. That's the other thing that
exactly that too.
Saudi Arabia came by last year with an offer. And look, that would have been great for Atlanta too, in the sense that they would have got that 25% sell-on fee. But that's at the end of the day, like, screw the money, man. You're not San Jose. You're not Salt Lake. You're not a team that needs the money, quote unquote. You're bringing back a guy that is a very quick club legend, 2-time best 11, all-star, the whole 9 yards, and the vibes, like it does so much. It's not about the money, though. It does help that he's coming back.
Right.
It gives a negotiation to both sides to say, like, well, that 25% sell-on fee, like, we Atlanta can pay a little less, and y'all don't have to worry about paying us more money. Like, it just kind of evens out. So, I'm excited, man.
From a Newcastle perspective, it also makes sense, because from Newcastle's perspective, it's just we're cashing out on a player who's pretty much given us all that he's got to give us.
Man got 6 years of training in England just to come back to Atlanta. I'm good with it.
Right.
Play like Almiron, man. Like Jack Grealish said.
Right. I'll say this about Luis Abram too, because we mentioned him. And I think Luxie, somebody has some comments. Yeah. I mean, look, there's like nothing against the dude. Like, Abram he's a cool guy. I mean, he doesn't speak to media much. He's very like standoffish from the media, which is fine. But that's just how he is. That's his personality. That's his prerogative. But he's been really good. I remember when he first got here, there was that kind of moment where people were like, "Oh, what do we have here?" But he is a veteran center back. He's a guy that's been around the block a little bit. He's handled himself pretty well, but he is unfortunately making way too much money right now.
So, doesn't make much business sense to keep him, to be honest.
And he's always out on international duty, which, hey, good for him too. Not good for when your backup center back needs to be in a lineup when everybody else is out on international duty.
I will say he is a pretty good defender. I like what I see from him on occasion, but it's not worth the $1 million that he's getting paid. Credit though, like having him right now is good, because he can theoretically play left back. He has played left back before. So right now, where you literally only have Pedro Amador and Ronald Hernandez moving from the other side as your left back depth, that's not. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have someone else in that who can play that position. It's not his best position, but he can play it.
Yeah,
I think that's what you'll see too. If Atlanta gets Miggy done, gets Latte Laugh done, I see there's still a little bit of smoke around Edouard. And if that's true, I don't really, I mean, we've given our opinions on it. I don't think they're going to sign.
I don't think the ship sailed though, right?
Yeah, I think it's just, again, like if one falls through, we still have another. I think that's kind of all it is. But I think once they get done with that kind of attacking set that they really need to take care of, then I think you'll start probably seeing a little bit more attention to those, wing back positions, maybe another center back. Because, Noah Cobb and Ephraim Morales both like more than capable. You don't want to have to rely on them to start a whole ton of games either, because they need to grow into it, they're on a great curve right now. And I don't want to see that ruined, Well,
more so Morales than Cobb though, but
yeah, for sure.
I see what you're saying. Well, you mentioned smoke. You know where smoke comes from, guys?
Fire.
You know who the Fire aren't getting, by the way?
One of Messi's buddies.
So this Neymar thing is continuing to circle around the league circles. It sounds like he is favoring move to Santos, back home to his boyhood club of Santos. But apparently, Al Hilal, his club in Saudi Arabia, hasn't opened up talks with Santos like they did with the Fire. So that's still up in the air. Still up in the air where Neymar will play in at least the first half of 2025. He's always been a polarizing player. I never thought it would be a fit in Chicago. I think it was just more of his agent kind of floating things. I mean, he could have an MLS at some point, but I think he's more of a New York or LA guy. I don't think he'd want to spend his play in Chicago, especially in the winter when it gets pretty cold. So,
New York, I could see.
Yeah, I mean, it's New York, right?
But Neymar, to me, he does not seem like a cold weather kind of guy. I don't know, but he's also the party guy. He's the atmosphere, right? He's the vibes guy. He's got the gold, Beats headphones. Like he's going somewhere where he's going to leave the locker room on a Saturday night and then go party until like 6 a.m. That's just what he's going to do at this point in his career. Chicago is not the place for that. No offense to Chicago, but
Chicago's a great city, but it's not Miami.
I have that kind of money. Again, I said it last week. I'm not going to Chicago. No offense. I'm just not.
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like a New York or Miami does, or an LA does. Doesn't have that cosmopolitan vibe like those other cities have.
It's also right in the middle of the country. Like you're getting connecting flights for the most part if you're going anywhere really good, which I guess for him it doesn't matter because South America is the place. But like, I don't know, man. It never really fit. But like, I mean, shout out to the Chicago Fire for trying. Because what did I say? Literally, I was like, "Oh, Berhalter hasn't impressed me with his ideas yet because he hasn't brought anybody in." And then, like a day later, it was like they're trying to bring in Neymar.
Yeah,
good on you, Berhalter.
But yeah, like Santos looks to be his destination. I feel like he's gotten a lot of flack around that, just around his motivations for going to Santos, motivations for moving clubs. I mean, he's not lacking for any money playing in Saudi Arabia, but he just can't be on the field. He can't stay on the field. I feel like he's past his prime. He's a terrific player, but I feel like he's at the back end of his career. He's a name, but at 32, not much more than a name at this point. So he's looking to settle down, hopefully, within the next few years and play somewhere where sure he'll get a lot of money. And looks like it won't be Chicago. For now, it looks like he wants to go home.
Omar said Chicago wins.
Chicago wins the healing effect.
Hey, maybe. Or they'll ice that ACL and then it'll be snapped. Henry, what do you think?
You're awful quiet, Henry.
I don't really have much else more to add to the Neymar conversation. Really, I always did think it was a long shot for Chicago. I was surprised Chicago was the name that came up for him. Yeah. But as an MLS club, do you really want Neymar on your roster? And not because like he's a great big name. Like obviously, you could have a sort of Messi effect in terms of having a big name on your roster, but I just don't see it, man. He's not consistently, available, you'd definitely be paying him a very, very large salary. Like you'd be paying him
top 3 easily.
Exactly.
In MLS.
What's Messi earning? He's earning like 20?
Over 10.
Like 20.
Over 10?
20.
It's 20,
it's 20
right?
plus
20.
all the Apple stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Neymar, you're probably getting close to that.
Yeah.
And so, would you be willing to pay that much salary for a guy who's probably not going to be on the field all that much, who is past his prime and just like probably not going to be able to really contribute in a meaningful way? At least I don't think.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's worth it.
I don't know that he has the cast around him quite yet. Now, we'll talk about one in a minute, I think, or we might not even put it in the
You're
notes.
saying Andrew Gutman isn't good enough?
Hey, Andrew Gutman is going to be a top assister for Neymar when he gets to Chicago.
Neymar and Brian Gutierrez coming at you is a
Heck yeah.
threatening.
Yeah.
Nothing against Gutierrez. He's a terrific player.
But then they're bringing in, was it Jonathan Bamba that was going?
Jonathan Bamba. I feel like that deal is.
That's one I'm more excited about. He looks very good.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, and then y'all go ahead, but I think my last thing on Neymar with Chicago anyway is like for the league, just like it was with Messi, like it's going to bring eyes, right? Like Messi brought them from the world. Neymar is going to bring a lot of worldwide attention, especially though from Brazil. That's be huge for like the Brazilian MLS audience, to grow it anyway. But yeah, like from just a club standpoint, like you were saying, Henry, you don't have a guy that's known to stay reliably on the pitch recently. So I don't know. I don't see it happening personally, but said the same thing about Messi too. So who knows?
What about these Ivorian players, by the way? We're going to talk about Zaha going to Charlotte, Latte Loft potentially to Atlanta. Looks like that's closed. Bamba, another Ivory Coast international, going to Chicago. So it's a nice little trio of players from the Ivory Coast men's national team going to Atlanta, or not to Atlanta, to MLS. So I'm sure they talk. I'm sure they have conversations about, the league and aspirations in the league. So
yeah,
big things happening.
The thing is, like, it's funny because you'll see these little hot spots pop up throughout the world, like, different leagues and then different transfer windows. You'll see, countries get hit really hard or regions get hit really hard. I mean, you look at Atlanta, and Atlanta's been very active in like Eastern Europe, right? It's just very interesting, and this one, like you said, these Ivorian players, which is awesome. And Zilf said we did bid for Bamba back in right before COVID. I remember that.
Where would you rank Bamba among left wings in MLS, by the way?
Below Miggy. Not in the top 3.
I had to ask.
Who's the top 3?
Yeah.
Not Messi, because I don't consider him a winger.
Oh,
Miggy.
Miggy, 3 times Miggy.
Anyway, but that deal looks like it's off between Neymar the Fire and Bamba, pretty much. Pending a physical, according to Tom Bogert. Fire, obviously our team to watch. Of course, Berhalter taking over. Third roster guys, I'm just looking at it. A depth chart of their roster. I mean, Bamba on the left, Kuipers, who struggled a lot last season, and Haley Selassie are your attackers. And, it's just, you need more. You need more players. I mean, Gutierrez, of course, in the midfield. We talked about him. Tremendous young player, plenty of room to run, plenty of room to grow in MLS. But Kuipers took a little bit. They have Jack Elliott, which is a good pickup for them. Gutman, the left back. Brady in net. Acosta, another key player. Fede Navarro in the midfield as well. So I don't know. They need more. I feel like Bamba is going to be a big part of what they do and how he goes. The team largely will go in 2025. So
they're missing chance creation. I feel like they need. They could do with like an elite number 10. Which I mean, Brian Gutierrez isn't bad, but he's not Lucho Acosta level.
Yeah,
he's not Evander.
Right.
I feel like the Fire should be one of the teams in for Evander. like one of the ones trying to offer. Don't go for Neymar. Use his salary, that salary that you're going to offer Neymar, to pay for Evander. Get him. He could do you so much more good. He's proven in MLS. And then, you would have a very good number 10 going forward. I mean, if you want playoffs for the first time in how many years?
Yeah, exactly. I know we have Evander on the list. I don't know if we get to that now, but I know it's on the list. We got some other things to talk about. It's like FC Dallas RN for Evander, which would be a massive move for them. Massive move for Eric Quill just coming into that team. Evander, of course, not getting on with the Timbers front office. Now this move with now this opportunity with the cash for player trade MLS is offering has opened this door for potentially Evander to make a move. And some of the reports are $12 million that Dallas are willing to pay to bring Evander to FC Dallas. I think FC Dallas, if he goes there, Dallas are an absolute contender right off the bat. They need a player like that, especially with Ferrer going to Seattle, especially with Areola going to Seattle. That will be a massive move for them, and that will make them a contender, like I said, in the league. He is a player that can elevate your team. He's a player that can make everybody around you better, everyone around him better. He played for a bad, really, Timbers team that snuck into playoffs in the wild card, but just got played off the pitch in the wild card round. So they need a player like him to really raise their profile, and they have some pieces there already. Abubakar is one. Leo Chu is another. It's a good signing for them. Bernard Camungo. Paul McCall is still there. Can he stay healthy? Alan Velasco's there. But you add Evander into that mix, and that just elevates Dallas's roster that much more. And I'm really looking to see what other offers he has. I think Orlando, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Orlando possibly in on Evander as well?
Yeah, I think there was a report that Orlando was potentially interested. I want to go back to Sydney real quick. Just a quick minor correction. Alan Velasco has been transferred to Boca Juniors.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, so he's not on that roster, but they still have several very good pieces.
Yeah,
and I mean, getting Evander would be huge for any team. I think Orlando could really also use, because they were banking on Ladero being potentially their next number 10 after Pereira, but Evander just elevates you even more. Like you said, he's 26, so he's going to stick around for a while. He's a prime age player. He's not going to be probably moving too much. So as long as you keep him happy, he'll be a long-term piece.
Yeah, that's the key. You got to keep him happy.
Yeah, I think that they can. I mean, you've got several high-profile players. If you can get like the Muriels, if you can get the Kakas of the world, like you can definitely keep Evander happy, I think. So it all depends on whether that interest, materializes into an actual bid, or if and also how much Portland's asking for him, because that's another thing.
And I'll add one more for Dallas. I forgot to mention that Petar Musa, their striker. So it depends on if they bring in the vendor, how much service we'll be able to provide Musa up top. And again, if they land him, if they can keep him, like you said, Henry, in a good way and in a good mood, avoid friction with the front office, he stands to be a phenomenal player with FC Dallas. And again, lift Dallas to contender status, I think. Really think so. They put a few pieces together late in the season. Of course, they got a new coach and Eric Quill, but can they land the big fish? And I know Luxie is asking in the chat, is Evander even open to a move with an MLS? I would feel like if the offer's right, if the price is right, if the situation fits, I think he'd be willing to do that. Of course, Brazil is an option. That's where he's from. That's his home. But again, it depends on the club, depends on the personnel, depends on the roster to some extent, the opportunity. So I think he'd be willing to turn his nose up at anything. But that number, guys, $12 million. That's pretty massive. That just speaks to the quality of player he is and what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like To me, it seems more like he had an issue just with Portland, like the club, something about it wasn't clicking with him, and I don't know that it was a league wide thing, and yeah, I mean, I think if you can get him there, like Texas is going to be very interesting in MLS this year. There's been a lot of changes in all the Texas clubs, like it's been kind of like up and down, so I think it's going to shake up a lot of what happens in the Western Conference. But I mean, keep him on the West unless he's coming to Atlanta, which right at this point it doesn't seem like would ever happen considering who they're looking at. But he was widely, I think Omar said in the chat, like everybody wants Evander. Like he's kind of like one of the guys that since last season ended there's been a lot of attention drawn to just because he had a phenomenal season, but also he, like you said, he's going to make whatever team he does end up at better.
Yeah.
15 goals, 19 assists. Like, come on, man.
That's insane.
That is elite chance creation.
Yeah, that's wild.
I feel in a different universe, the guy's MVP. Some other guy named Messi won it, of course, in 2024, but he got votes. He got a lot of votes. Yeah. That guy in Miami. He got a lot of votes.
I'm not going to go off on that rant. I'm not.
No, but Neymar got a lot of votes. I've got a lot of love, even with Portland being the way they were, sort of just in that lower rung of the playoff qualifiers in the West. Without him, they don't even sniff the playoffs. So credit to him for even getting that far. But that relationship is frayed between him and the Portland front office, and yeah, it sounds like he is on the move. So something to monitor, whether that's Dallas, whether that's Orlando, or elsewhere. But I feel like there's a home for him in Miami or in MLS. I don't want to say Miami, but
there could be a home for him in MLS.
There's a home for anybody in Miami.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's certainly a home.
Have a DP tag on them, you can take them.
Right.
There's certainly a home for Evander somewhere. There's also a home for Cincinnati players, but they're not in Cincinnati right now. Lucho Acosta, Luca Oriano, and Yuya Kubo were reportedly missing from preseason this season. Luca Oriano has since reported, but Acosta and Kubo are still absent. So where are Cincinnati's players, and why are they not showing up to preseason?
A week into it now.
What does that say about Chris Albright? What is going on with this guy? Playing hardball?
Like full on mutiny, like just refusing to show up.
I'm curious, like what y'all think, and then like in the chat too. Play Football Manager for a second. Like if you are, obviously we have no idea what those conversations have looked like, but you have 2 years ago, Cincy is outstanding, right? They're still really good last year, but they did fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you go into the offseason, your star player is like, I want to go home. And, some of your other really good talent is like kind of absent. And then come a week ago for the entrance of preseason, they just don't show up. If you were in charge of that club, how do you handle that?
Yeah. And what's that say to the rest of the team, too? What's it say to the rest of the roster? If you don't show up for preseason.
Including your captain, man, because Lucho's their captain, if I'm not mistaken. Like, man, that's what a message. That one of your leaders is just like not showing up because of and I don't know if it's like actually been reported that it's because of this, but because there are potential, transfer speculation that he could potentially, leave Cincinnati. There was people have been saying, I think Tom Bogert has even said, like, he expects Lucho Acosta to not be in Cincinnati for this season. And, whether he wants to go home or he just wants a change of environment, like whether he's open to another one of those cash transfers within MLS to just find another team. I'd be interested to see where he goes and where he would be happy. That's the other thing. Man, I don't even know. But it's surprising to me that 3 of their players didn't show up to preseason at first.
Yeah. I mean, when you say home, for Acosta, do you mean like home
Kubo got tired of playing a different position every week? That's a good point. He's looking for some stability, man.
Yeah. When you talk about
Earth, fire them all.
Yeah. When you talk about Acosta, though, when you say home, do you mean just like Argentina, back to Boca, or What makes sense for him?
Well, didn't he say what did he say exactly? Because I'd have to go back. I think I know he said something like, "This is probably like my last season in Cincinnati" or something like that. And that came out of nowhere because it's not like Cincinnati had a bad campaign. It's not like they did too terribly. And this offseason they've gone and strengthened the squad. They got Kevin Denke breaking the league transfer record. Like, hey, dude, you've got a new striker to partner with. You've got this is showing promise for Cincinnati to be competitive again and potentially compete for that supporter shield again. Like, if that's the reason, if it's because you think that the team's trending downward, then that should be fine. Unless, of course, there's problems within the his understandings with the front office. Is he getting along with the coach and other players? Like, does he really just want to leave for some reason? Maybe he just doesn't like Cincinnati. Maybe he doesn't like, I don't know, what's the weather like over there? Is it like that bad? Like, does he want to go to Florida? Does he want to go play with Messi? I don't know.
I think what's interesting is like, if it was just Lucha, then you could look at it and all of that could absolutely be, like valid questions. I think not that they're not valid questions, but like, it's not him. It's also two other players. Now, like you said, one of them has since showed up, but like, why are three players? I know that looked like I was saying 2 and 3. There's 3 players that didn't show up. To me, that's something a little more than
a red flag.
I'm not happy. Like that tells me there's got to be something going on with whether it's coaching, front office, mixture of both. That can't be a coincidence.
No.
And I'm not trying to speculate, but like that would be a really, really big coincidence, and I just don't believe that's what it is.
Great saying in the chat. Ghost probably got tired of Skyline chili.
Yeah.
That might have been a factor.
He may have gotten tired of Skyline chili. But Sebastian Driussi got tired of Austin, man. Can you believe it? He also skipped out on preseason. There were rumors of River Plate being in for him. Driussi saw that and he's like, sweet, I'm not going to show up to preseason. And he didn't. And that kind of forced Austin's hand, Rodolfo Burrell and co getting it over the line. River Plate signs Driussi for $10 million plus 8.5% sell-on clause. That opens a DP spot for Austin. And they already have Brandon Vasquez on one of those spots. I think they're rumored to be connected already to another attacking midfielder, but I don't remember their name right now. But yeah, speaking of players that don't show up to preseason, speaking of players that are unsettled, there's one that's just gone now.
It's a big offseason for Austin and Rodolfo Burrell to backfill that role. Just think about how important Driussi is to that roster. Of course, you have Estevez, the new coach, coming in, but you have Vasquez. That's a good signing for them. But Driussi made it work. He was the kind of the heartbeat of that team. Fell off over the past couple of years. We mentioned he kind of underperformed. He overperformed his underlying numbers in 2022, but it just has never been the same player since. Maybe it's best for both parties that he just moves on. They just moved on. If he's happy down there at River Plate, good for him.
Well, it's now his home club too.
Yeah, exactly. Is too good to pass up in that situation. So, again, how does Austin fill that? Kendra, you said they're linked to a player to fill that DP role. That's just so important because Davis had one good year out of 4 seasons.
Yeah,
it's not good enough, and the fans demand more. They deserve better. That's a really good market. Austin is a really good market for soccer. Texas as a whole, but Austin, really good market for soccer. They deserve a good team, and more often than not, they've not been rewarded with a good team outside of 2022. So, big opportunity for Rodolfo Burrell to really make a splash in the transfer market and bring in a player of similar quality to the WC because he's going to be hard to replace as is. And this is a move that you can't afford to mess up if you're the Austin front office. So,
okay,
great
thoughts.
It's time for John Gallagher to shine. I like that.
I kind of lied when I said that they were connected to an attacking midfielder. It's just a center midfielder, and they already signed him, apparently. It's Nicolas hold on, sorry. Nicolas Dubersarski. Damn. From Instituto, 20-year-old, a U22 signing on a 5-year contract through 2029. Man, it's crazy that contracts are going to 2029. That's just weird that's that close at this point. But no. Hey, they're starting to build up that midfield a little bit more. Obviously, you don't have Alex Ring in there anymore.
Yeah.
So you need to reinforce either way. But yeah, like y'all were mentioning, Vasquez, huge signing for their attack. I already know that he's proven in MLS. You have Osman Bukhari, who you signed. I believe it was in the summer that they signed him. I'm not sure, but he's fast. He's a decent chance creator on the wing. So you have him. And if you can get yourself the Driussi replacement, get yourself another top-tier attacking midfielder, Austin could be back in the mix of things and could be very competitive this season. We'll just have to see how all of, the work that Rodolfo Borrell and co. are doing, how that goes hand in hand with what Nico Estevez is planning and whether, he can have success with Austin. Because he had a tough time with Dallas, but can changing cities basically within the same state, does that help him out? We'll see how that works.
We've got Ilie too signing for Austin. Really strong veteran signing for Austin in the off season too.
Yeah, he's very good.
Austin is intriguing. That's what I'm saying. Like Texas as a whole. I mean, maybe not Houston. I don't know. I feel like they're just kind of there, but right. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. And
just lost our Houston audience.
Yeah, some of those matches are really, really fun, especially if you are, like you have like some of the Texas derbies and whatever the different ones are called. But that has the potential to shake up into some really like fun, watchable soccer.
Yeah.
It'd be exciting.
Tejas Derby, as it is. I think that's what it's called, the Tejas Derby.
Do they do like a cup, like a Texas Cup?
I feel like they do,
Copa
right?
Tejas. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Copa Tejas.
That's going to be fun this season.
I was pretty sure I didn't make that up, so that's good to know.
Well,
no, you're right.
Now that one of y'all made us lose our Houston audience, I'm gonna get him back. Coco Carrasquilla is on his way to Pumas. I have to pull up the details of that transfer, but he was voted, I believe it was CONCACAF player. Was it CONCACAF Player of the Year or Central American Player of the Year? Something like that.
Yeah.
It was one of those, but he won an award basically last season, and that just tells you how important he is. He's a mainstay for the Panamanian national team, a very, very good number 8, and now his time in MLS has come to an end. He goes to one of the top sides in Mexico right now, and the other kind of big name midfielder that Houston had last season, Hector Herrera, has also gone to a Liga MX side.
Rather acrimoniously, by the way. Did not go out on a blaze of glory.
Yeah. He kind of spat in. I was gonna make a spitting joke, and then it just never came out. Anyway. Nope. Moving on.
I like it though.
Yeah.
But hey, Houston now has a whole midfield rebuild to get underway, and
would you say that's a problem, Henry? Come on.
Look, on the one side, on the Ache side, I say
you missed it.
What was that?
I said, would you say that's a problem, Houston? We have a problem.
Oh man!
I was waiting. You just kept going.
One of my favorite parts about the Monday show and the Wednesday show is at some point when y'all are together, somebody makes a joke and it goes completely over one of y'all's heads.
See, because I'm usually the one with the puns. I'm not used to Sydney doing this. I'm used to him. I'm used to my puns going over his head.
Or two a show, but he sneaks them in.
This is disrupting like my dynamics right now here. What is this? Freaking Houston, man. It's all your fault.
Houston's fault.
By the way, he won CONCACAF
Men's Player of the Year.
Men's
Golden
Player of the
Ball
Year.
too. And yeah,
Golden
Gotcha.
Ball too.
Golden Ball, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a problem that you have to rebuild your midfield. I think, the Acha one, it had to happen after, what he pulled. But with the Carrasquilla one, that's kind of a little bit less expected. And it's kind of, okay, how do we replace one of the most stable midfielders in the league? Because that's what he was. He was a very stable presence for them in midfield. And so it's going to be hard to replace him. But that also, apparently, Sebas Ferreira, I think he got bought out, was the news that dropped this week. So you're losing players left and right, man. Like you gotta move on some signings, man. You got a lot of work to do, basically.
Know who else is on the way out? Possibly, likely. I don't think it happened officially, did it? Mateus Bogusz.
Yeah. It's not official yet, but it's reported done, basically. $9 million transfer fee to Cruz Azul. He's going to go be Gigi's teammate. That's an interesting trend, by the way, that so many players from MLS are heading over to Liga MX now.
Specifically Cruz Azul.
Right.
They also got Omar Campos.
Yep.
They got Gigi. I think there's someone else that I'm not remembering right now, but they've gotten a lot of players from MLS over the past couple of transfer windows. It's interesting that they're diving into this market so much more now, because before, and I was actually tracking this, like this is the highest number of MLS players going into Liga MX in the past, like at least 7-8 years.
Sure, Garber's monitoring that too. I mean, there's this rivalry between MLS and Liga MX trying to become the better league in North America. And now you have one of the top players in MLS, one of the top number 10s in MLS, going now to Cruz Azul to join one of the top strikers in MLS during his tenure. Garber's looking at it saying, hey, we need to sell this up and try to make sure that, the reverse is happening. Each league is going to look out for their own interests. Brandon Vasquez is another player. Kate Cowell from San Jose is another player that went to Mexico. So it's just a trend that's going to start opening up a little bit more and more over the next couple of years here. So certainly something to monitor. That kind of surprised me. Bogusz looked like he was going to be in MLS for a decent period of time and potentially go back to Europe. He's still a young player. He's 23 years old, and that's an excellent signing for Cruz Azul. You have a very strong attacking midfielder, a goal scorer, a goal creator that could really help them to move up the table. I don't know where they are in the table right now. I'm just pulling it up. They're I think they won the Apertura, I believe. I'll have to fact check that. They finished top of the table at least, and the Clausura is just starting out. And they've lost and drew their first two matches in the Clausura. So maybe he's a player that can elevate them and help them make that push back up the table so early on the second half of the season.
I think it was America that won Apertura.
Okay. Yeah, Cruz Azul finished top of the table.
Yeah.
42 points, but America won.
I think
you said.
I think it's kind of a genius strategy in a lot of ways, though, because you have MLS that has traditionally, at least some teams have gone out and risked trying to snag players from Europe. Whereas Liga MX, I mean, they've done it, right? Like there's plenty of scenarios and moments where that's happened, but like they typically aren't going to go and take that leap. But MLS has done it for a long time. They bring over players, and we'll use Giacomakis as an example. It was his first stint in this hemisphere. You never know how a player is going to kind of settle in, right? And obviously there's a big difference between Canada, United States, Mexico. But one similarity is that for most of these players to get back home, you got to cross the Atlantic Ocean. And being that far away from home can have an effect on a player. And so I'm not saying this is like the reason that they do it, but I think it takes a lot of the risk out and saying like, all right, cool. You came to the U.S., you played in MLS, which is rapidly becoming a much more competitive league. Not the laughing stock compared to Liga MX anymore. And now we can say, all right, cool. We got to watch you for a year, 2 years, whatever. We like you. And teams like Cruz Azul that are not afraid to spend money can come in and say, hey, Giakoumakis is the example. We know they're offering you a decent contract, but we'll give you more. Right. And we have a product that we know what we're getting into, including all the injuries with Giakoumakis. It's interesting. And I'm curious to see if it does continue or if finally maybe that's another factor that causes Garber to say, hey, man, let's just open up the purses a little bit more.
Right. The cash for player trade is a good start, but obviously it's more to be done. But yeah, a trend worth watching for sure.
Indeed. So one that so jumping, I didn't have a good segue for this, but I'm just telling you that now. The U.S. men's national team played for the first time. Camp Cupcake, as it's lovingly, adoringly called. Yeah. You have MLS players, you have, players from all over, but this is not your typical group of guys, right? That's kind of what Camp Cupcake is. But did anybody stand out for y'all? Anybody?
I give him a season, baby.
Huh?
What's his name? Michael Miljevic stood out for the wrong reason.
Oh yeah, for
not
sure.
MLS anymore. But Aubameyang scored. Good for him scoring. Making a mark for himself in the camp. And Jack Elliott had a really good goal as well. Not Jack Elliott. What's the other guy's name? Jack McGlynn. Wrong Jack. Jack McGlynn had a really good goal during that. It's good to see the obviously not all MLS players and people pitch fit about that, but good to see Pochettino getting a look at these MLS talents. Aubameyang, worked his way into that role. Had a terrific season with Charlotte, and he's worked his way into not the full men's national team picture, but at least he made a good account of himself the other day. Is he going to be on the final roster? That remains to be seen. There's still a lot of striker competition out there, but at least he has made a mark for himself. And then Jack McGlynn, same thing. Maybe on the outside looking at right now, but at least good to see him take his chance terrifically against it's Venezuela. I mean, what do you expect? It's a really poor side anyway, but good players, good chance for them to shine, good chance for them to get their name out there, get themselves further into the discussion. And guys, this is what this camp is all about. Players that you wouldn't normally see in the traditional camp setting coming in and have their opportunity to maybe work their way in. You see that several of these players have ended up on World Cup rosters. Bit early to tell still how many of these players will end up on World Cup rosters outside of the regulars, but a good first step for McGlynn and Aubameyang.
Yeah, I was excited to see, just from a selfish Atlanta standpoint, George Campbell and Miles Robinson start together.
Yeah, and the center back pairing.
But no,
Miles, of course, we expect to see in 2026. Campbell, of course, maybe not in that same breath at least, but good to see him still in the mix. But
I'm really curious too to add on to that, like how Pochettino really sees Miles Robinson in the long term, because Pochettino was a guy. I mean, he's a defensive guy, not necessarily in his coaching philosophy, but that was what he did. And when you're a coach and you played that position, you're always going to have like extra little critiques on players that play that same position. And so Miles Robinson seemed kind of like he was in the fringe, kind of like starting, not starting area, purgatory, whatever you want to call it, during the time when Berhalter was on his way out and then Pochettino was getting hired. It kind of seemed like maybe there was, a battle going on back there, which is what you want, right? Like if you're a men's national team fan, that's what you want. But as an Atlanta fan, like I always kind of want that edge to go to the Atlanta players or ex-Atlanta players.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious to see how he establishes or reestablishes himself, because for 3 years there for the national team, Miles Robinson could do no wrong. Of course, if you look at certain Twitter accounts out there, they would argue that. But if you know what you're looking at, like the guy, he at the time was defending really well, and I do feel like the leaving Atlanta, that whole little bit of drama, the injury, of course, going up to Ohio, like I think it threw a wrench in a little bit, and it's kind of thrown him off his stride. Not something that I don't think he can get back, but I don't know. I'm just curious to see where Pochettino goes with it.
Henry, did you watch anyone that stood out to you specifically?
I honestly did not watch that game. I had other matters to attend to at the time, but I will trust y'all's analyses on those players. Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's it.
We just totally lied to you, by the way. Every young in the score.
Man.
Miles Robinson, George Campbell they weren't even in the lineup.
They never started. They didn't even play.
They weren't anywhere close.
Well, we talked about Pek Agyemang. He could have a new teammate.
God, say his name right.
Huh? Agyemang?
How'd you say his name? Say it. Say it again.
Zaha?
No. Say
I'm going to say the easy one.
Agyemang?
Close enough. I've heard Agyemang, but I could be wrong.
Agyemang?
I'll
get it right.
Sure.
Sorry if you're watching that.
Back for ambushing him with that joke earlier.
Agyemang.
This is payback.
Agyemang, that's what it is. Wilfred Zaha, though, could be his teammate. I know we mentioned it last week, right? The latest on that is that things are getting closer, and very exciting for Charlotte FC. Very exciting opportunity for them to bring him in. Word is that he could be announced this week. Last report was he's on his way to go for a physical and get ready to make the move to MLS. But again, mention the Ivorian players making the move to MLS. Tyler, I have to ask you, by the way, where do you rank Wilfred Zaha?
Below Miggy.
Among wingers in MLS.
No, I mean, I respect Zaha. I think. I mean, you want me to give you like a number?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 6. Problem is he hasn't played there. He hasn't played in MLS before. Miggy has. So.
Yeah, it's hard to say how much you can expect from him, but I'll give you this. Last season, he had 9 goals, 3 assists, and 30 appearances for Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League. So do with that what you will.
That was similar to Saba's numbers the year he came over from Turkey as well.
Yeah, and he's coming on a loan, is what's been reported. Is he's coming on a loan. He'll be a DP for sure. Right. Originally, their target was Miguel Almiron, and then because they had his discovery rights, but they kind of abandoned that pursuit to go for Zaha, obviously. And yeah, the idea is that he would be a chance creator on the wings, that he would be able to bring experience from his time in Crystal Palace and across some of those teams in Europe to lead Charlotte's attack, along with Patrick Agyemang. Sydney.
Agyemang.
There you go.
Agyemang. Sorry, I was mispronouncing that. I butchered that. See, I can pronounce every single name, by the way.
Yeah, but that's one of the exciting additions to the league. We've got another couple that we want to go to. Let's go to the other side of the country. Let's go to the new boys, San Diego. How about that? We've got 2 players. Tyler,
go ahead and jump on. I want to talk about Anders Dreyer, but go ahead.
Oh, you're getting ahead of me. But
I know. Sorry.
San Diego signs or is getting close to signing. Hasn't been officially reported yet. Their second DP, Anders Dreyer, a winger, which I have his stats right here. He has He has
26 goals and 69 appearances.
There you go. Yeah, Tyler could have jumped in a little sooner, avoided.
I did, and you were like, cut me off.
My bad. But yeah, him, and then the other one that I wanted to bring in, we were talking about the U.S. men's national team. Luca De La Torre kind of going back home to San Diego. I'm not sure if he would be a DP. That wasn't in the reporting quite yet, but if you guys know anything else, please add on. I don't know about that.
I haven't seen anything about what his salary would be. High TAM, very high TAM at the least.
I imagine.
But I wonder what San Diego does with that. And I'll let you jump in, Tyler, about Dreyer. But I wonder what San Diego does with that third DP slot. What they did. They have Chucky, the first one, Dreyer, now the right winger, starting right winger. So we may see what happens with that other DP slot. Did they save it for the summer, bring in reinforcements? Then
Kevin De Bruyne. Sorry.
De Bruyne, yes. Yes, of course. I forgot about him. We haven't heard about him in a while. We have not heard from him in a while. But it looks like things are lining up for De Bruyne to make a move to San Diego. We've not heard much about that lately, to be honest. So I imagine that's still on, perhaps, but it's been quiet from the De Bruyne camp.
We haven't heard about De Bruyne.
Erling Haaland get a 19-year contract and was hang on a minute.
Yeah.
It's like a Dodgers contract. What in the world?
I know, right?
Yeah, we haven't really heard much on the De Bruyne front, but we're going to hear a ton about Andres Dreyer from Tyler. Tyler, go off, bro.
So, no, I mean, I like the signing. I think he's I think just from the get-go, obviously his numbers are his numbers, right? Like his most recent club, what I just said, I just gave you the number, 26 goals, 69 appearances from 2023 onward. He was spending a lot of time at Midtjylland, and then he went to Russia, scored a hat trick in his first game, and then everything happened with Russia. And because of that, FIFA was like, y'all can dip out if you want to. So he went back. Had a good solid couple of years, but he's kind of like on one right now over the past 2 seasons, which is great for San Diego, and that's why he got this DP contract. But he's a very direct player. I was looking a little bit earlier when we put these notes down. I'm curious to see how he operates with another very direct player in Chucky Lozano, which you never can tell all this stuff, right, with chemistry until you see them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good signing for San Diego. I like it. I think if I was a San Diego fan, this would be the signing that's got me hyped up so far. I think this is like, to me, this is one that I'm like, no, doesn't do it for me.
What?
Doesn't do it for me.
Where do we put
he doesn't do it for me.
Where do you put?
We just lost our entire Mexican audience.
No, we were talking about Cruz Azul a minute ago.
Right. Where do you put San Diego now? This West standings.
Dude, I don't know, but their roster is looking very good now. Like it's looking pretty decent.
I think top 6. I'll say 6.
Top
right
6.
now.
6. Yeah, that's fair.
That's maybe a weird way of putting it, but yeah, I'll say number 6.
Number 6.
Yeah,
I'll put them 5. I think they have a very well-rounded roster. I think they're building it very intelligently. It's interesting to see what Chucky Lozano will bring, because I believe it was like a 12 million, something like that, signing that was reported for him. That's a significant investment. So you're definitely expecting him to be top-end talent, and you're supplementing that with several talented players. You've got already MLS mainstays like Andres Reyes to lead your back line. You've got Andres Dryers now to bring some more width to the attack. It's going to be interesting to see how San Diego does, but I expect them to be fairly competitive their debut season. What do you think?
It's always a coin flip with new clubs just coming in, as it was with Atlanta United. And I feel like Atlanta are the standard, were the standard for expansion clubs before LAFC came along. I would say probably 7. That 7 spot. I think they'll make playoffs. I don't think they'll be a top 4 team or anything like that, because this is still a Western Conference with teams like LAFC, Galaxy, Seattle still in there. So you have to jump those teams. Houston, it's a question mark. Minnesota, just re-signed Boogie Longwane to a contract extension. They'll be in the mix. I don't know what. I feel like RSL will drop off. I feel like Colorado will drop off some. So you could have some opportunities there toward that bottom half of the playoff qualifiers in the West. So I think if they're able to make some groundwork around there, and Gracing San Jose certainly will be a much improved team in 2025. So I think if you can make some headway, I mean, it's 9 teams, right? It's not difficult to make the playoffs. But if you can get yourself like in that 7 or 8 spot, I think San Jose fans will look at that as a good season. Then you could say this is without De Bruyne, right? Yeah, if this De Bruyne move happens, this is without him. So imagine with him in the roster, how good this San Diego club could be. So outside of that, I would say 7 or so. With him, I say maybe definitely top 4. But
Sydney,
a lot of questions to be asked, though.
Sydney, a question for you.
Yes.
Is Chucky Lozano a top 5 winger in MLS?
Oh, gosh. Can we? Yes, he is.
He is?
Yes, he is. He's Chucky Lozano.
Tyler, get him.
Give me a name.
Chucky Lozano.
Give me another name. No. Winger?
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, although I think this is I think I was very hesitant in the beginning when they were in the initial stages with their roster build. But I think, and it's easy to say this, though this is an MLS show, obviously we're Atlanta United. So as an Eastern Conference fan, watching the Western Conference play out in the preseason so far, I'm thoroughly excited to watch Western Conference games. I really am. Like, we talked about Texas, all the Texas teams, like there's things happening. Seattle, always, I've said this before, but always feels one step away from being just like, this phenomenal team, even,
right.
Bigger than they are. And then, the LA teams, they go up and down, like a Katy Perry song. And then San Jose all of a sudden is bringing over half of New York City and Joseph. and then, then you have San Diego doing like, it's very intriguing. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. And like that, I could totally see MLS doing their predictions in the beginning of the year and everybody being wrong by the time it's all said and done.
You print it out to remind people.
I'm excited.
Read this.
Yeah, I'm excited that we're going to get to watch more games because they're actually spreading out the games a little bit more throughout the match week. Like before, you really your first slot was the 7:30 slot, and if for example, like we go to the stadium, like by the time we get home, they're in like the second half of the last game of the night. You don't get to watch anything.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you got more chance to actually catch some of those Western Conference games, and I'm pretty hyped about that. I'm just hyped to be back, man.
Preseason soccer on Saturday.
There is.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday, I'm sure.
Yeah, but we'll throw it out there because, Sydney, you're going to be in the stands, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll be there in the stands with my fiance.
I'll be up in the press box. Henry, you're not doing that one, but you're doing Birmingham, right?
But I will do Birmingham.
I'll be in Birmingham too.
So then, I mean, y'all, if whoever's going, if y'all see us there, we'll, come say hey. We'll talk.
We don't
hang out a little bit. Yeah, we'll chill. I will throw out one more quick topic that was not in our notes. I just thought about it. I don't know why we didn't put it in our notes. What do y'all think about our boy Rocco Rios Novo coming back to Inter Miami?
Oh, man.
And getting to start the other night against America. 2-2 draw, I should say. It's good. I mean,
Club America dominated that game, by the way. It should not have been a draw that went to penalties that Miami won, but they got their one back at the very end and took it to penalties.
Yeah.
But Rocco, I like Rocco. I really do. I've got nothing against the guy, but he did give away a very cheap goal. So it's almost like he didn't hear the whistle.
Flashbacks right there.
Rocco joking with that, yeah. But it's interesting. And he was not a player. Once he went back to Argentina, he was not a player I expected to see up here again.
Yeah. But good to see him back. He spent time with, of course, USL Championship. Won a championship with them in 2023. So good to see him back in MLS. if nothing more than a backup and a cup goalkeeper in Miami. So intriguing move for a young keeper. So young keeper, he's 22 years old still.
Yep.
Who knows? He could be in the national team discussion.
I feel like he hasn't aged.
National team pool. I know he was
Wait, for
still
real?
like.
Like he was
Wait,
22
so
when he was here.
how old was he when he? How old was he then when he was here?
Turning 20, I think.
So he turned 20.
It was 2022, right? When he was like starting games.
Yep.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah. 2020 April 2022 he came to Atlanta. So
wow.
Gosh, that feels like forever ago. But yeah, back in the league. Atlanta may face him. Who knows?
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, like, they need some competition at that goalkeeper spot. I mean, I don't know that Rocco is going to be the guy that's going to consistently push for that spot, but you never know, especially with goalkeepers. Like, yeah, Omar, you're right. He did do quite well at the end, but I think my biggest thing with Rocco, because I did like him when he was here. I mean, he was young. He has been prone to make quite a few mistakes, and if he can clean that up in his game, I know there's always going to be people out there who are going to be like, well, he's too short. I don't care about that. I mean, like, of course, you got to be like a certain height to be a goalkeeper, but you can make up for it in other ways, reaction time, things like that. He never really had that problem, but he's just got to get right with the mental aspect of the game, and we'll see in a couple.
What he has going for him is that he's good with his feet, and that plays right into kind of what Mascherano's Inter Miami wants to play. They like kind of playing out of the back. They like high pressure. They like that kind of thing, or at least that's what I saw from that one preseason game. So I have to see a little bit more for more of a sample size, but it does seem like he fits in well to that kind of system. Now, whether he's going to like immediately win the starting spot from Drake Callender, I don't think so, but he's going to be a solid backup for them. If Drake Callender continues getting call-ups, if he for some reason is absent for a period of time, they have a solid backup in Rocco Rios-Novo. And, you know, obviously as a former five stripe, you wish him the best of luck, except when he's playing Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right.
I think that's it.
That's it. That is all the latest MLS news. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for MLS Monday. We will be back on Wednesday. Hopefully
7 p.m. Maybe there's a signing or two to mention officially.
Miggy. I'm gonna start singing it. I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited. But that'll hopefully be the news and a lot of other stuff. But
preseason soccer, by the way, is Saturday too.
Yep.
Huh?
Preseason soccer on Saturday.
Have that to talk about.
Chattanooga FC.
Plenty going on. And I love Chattanooga. Y'all know my feelings about Chattanooga. They're like one of my favorite non-Atlanta clubs. Yeah. I hope Atlanta curb stomps Chattanooga. Because I'm so tired of the like, oh, it's preseason. Who cares? No, win now. Win now.
Yeah, let's just see what happens.
No, win.
If it's 2-3-0, let's not overreact. But yeah, it should be a good experience in Chattanooga.
It'll be fun. If you've never been to Chattanooga, by the way,
great
especially
city.
Game, go. It's fun.
Yeah, great fans, great club. But yeah, we'll be talking about that Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Live.
Cool.
Live at 7. Y'all visit cicarsandspikes.com. Go check out all the latest news.
Yeah.
And more will be going up soon. I'm sure of it.
We shall see.
With that, cue the music.
That's the wrong music.
What are y'all doing?
That's your interview with Dyla.
In case you wanted to hear that. One day, maybe by the end of January, we'll get used to this new streaming platform. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, Kareem. That's the thing. You like make it a chant. There's a whole one out there. The lyrics are out there.
He deserves a chant. He also deserves a statue.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the number 10 shirt. He's definitely getting the number 10 shirt back.
Has to get number 10. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited. In case y'all didn't know.
Are you excited?
Just a little bit.